Hey everybody, it's your favorite Central Oregon realtor again, Jeff with Ben Dreams Realty. Welcome to It's Not a Bubble Part 2. I'm going to assume that you watched all 30 seconds of Part 1 and you're here because A, you don't struggle with having the attention span of a goldfish, and 2, you want to know why I made the predictions I did. So as I sit here on June 17th, 2022, reflecting on the headlines and listening to the doomsayers, who, by the way, are invested in creating an emotional reaction in their audience, I have some thoughts about the impending housing crisis. So let's start with this. A little history, a little background. Every year since 2015, the media has predicted a real estate crash. Home values are up on average something like 80% since 2015. So if in the summer of 2015 you had ignored the doom and gloom predictions of the bubble bursting and causing a crash, and you bought a $300,000 house, that house would currently be valued around $520,000. Having said that, inflation is up, house prices are dropping, mortgage rates are up and still climbing. Oh no, does that mean we're headed for a crash? Likely not. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have the ability to look at historical trends and market behaviors and then extrapolate predictions from the data. So here's what I see. House prices are dropping. No, not really. What we're seeing with all the current price reductions is sellers who decided to shoot for the moon when they priced their home initially, and they're now realizing that it's actually worth what someone will pay for it. Housing prices are determined by an archaic concept known as supply and demand. When inventory was really low, demand was really high, prices skyrocketed. Now we see inventory is still pretty low and demand has lessened slightly. That translates to slower appreciation, not a crash. Also, for perspective, the record number of price reductions is 6.6% of the market. On top of that, new housing starts are down, mostly due to increased costs. We seem to be headed for a recessionary phase in our economy. Historically, recession means a lowering of mortgage rates and modest increases in home values. So let me emphasize that. While price appreciation in housing has slowed recently, recession usually doesn't equate to reduced housing prices. In fact, going back to the 1980s, we've seen housing prices increase during 6 of 8 recessionary periods. In the early 90s, we had a slight dip in home values, but the one everyone seems focused on is 2007 to 2009 when housing prices dropped dramatically. That was not typical market behavior and was in fact caused by a number of factors that weren't directly related to the actual recession. The run-up to this current inflationary trend, we've seen corporations buying up housing. By some accounts, as many as 16% of single-family homes that were sold last year were sold to investment firms and large corporations. And the regular folks who bought houses had to prove that they could actually afford to make the payment. There was a lot more background checking and a lot more income verification. When you combine this with the price appreciation we've seen over the past couple of years, even the folks who get in trouble financially probably have some equity in their home. So I don't expect to see massive numbers of short sales where the house is sold for less than the outstanding mortgage and the lender takes a loss. So to sum up, it's not a bubble. The market is not likely to crash. Waiting to buy a house will cost you money in the long term. Even at a mortgage rate of 6%, if you buy a home now, over a period of years, the value of that home is going to appreciate. Worst case scenario, interest rates continue to climb and your 6% starts to look pretty good. Best case scenario, interest rates come down again and you refinance to a lower payment. So that's what I got. These headlines they're just making me nuts because it's all designed to inflame people's emotions. There's no basis in reality.